South Africa, a country with one of the most interesting histories in the world, is not generally known in the automotive industry. However, it is quite vibrant when it comes to the amount of exclusive cars produced there, from local and regional racing automobiles to performance muscle compact sedans, all in the cradle of mankind. Our list starts with one simple but yet known automobile in the region, the Toyota TAS or Conquest. At first it might indeed seem like a slightly modified Toyota Corolla E80 or E90, because it is one, just with a rather longer production life. While the original model had a shy production run of some 5 years, the South African TAS with the Conquest was produced from 1988 to 2006, a solid 18-year run. And yes, the Toyota TAS is just a Conquest with some modernized plastic parts essentially. It was extremely cheap as well. As a matter of fact, it was the cheapest Toyota in the country, therefore it sold like hotcakes. The 1.3 and the 1.6 liter engine options were basically bulletproof as well, and it was extremely simple. However, eventually that simplicity had caught up in the shape of various safety regulations. Such things as lack of airbags and other safety equipment had brought it to its end. Its competitors were such popular cars as the Chevrolet Spark and the early Hyundai Atos. What might seem like a normal Golf 2 is actually a facelifted Golf Mark 1 with a production run of 25 years. Essentially, when the Golf Mark 2 launched, nobody in South Africa wanted to buy something more expensive than its predecessor. The first concept for the new Golf 1 was a simple, lighter version of the original Golf, initially called the Econo Golf. The concept was quickly abandoned because it was too similar to the models of the 1970s. After extensive market research, it was decided that the Mark 1 needed to be rebranded to breathe new life into its design. The original City Golf was only available in 3 colors, a fact that's underlined in the contemporary advertising campaign with the slogan "Red, Yellow, Blue, not Green." That's quite an interesting tagline for a whole car you're launching, just based on factory colors, but alright I guess. In 2004 the City Golf received a facelift that included a new dashboard lifted from the Skoda Fabia. Throughout the City Golf's 25-year lifespan, hundreds of small and large mechanical modifications were also made to the model. For example, by 2008 all carbureted engines were replaced by more efficient fuel-injected units. Now for the rest of the video we're crossing into the sport homologation category for South African racing. Opel, while competing with the already legendary 325 IS, an already special automobile, decided to create a car which would bravely overthrow the existing Bavarian leader. So they came up with this, the Opel Cadet Superboss. They had to build 500 road-going specimen of such model in order to compete on the N Racing group. To compete with the 325 IS, Opel took an existing engine of theirs, added a few modifications, specifically manufactured by the famous company Cosworth. The Superboss was fitted with a special Promotech ECU, which finished the job of making an ultimate sports car. The result of that became quite the impressive 170 horsepower and 228 Nm of torque. All the effort paid off. The car won 2 championships in 1991 and 1992, and just as well, took a place in the hearts of many automotive enthusiasts across the globe. BMW had ties with South Africa for many years, opening various factories there. Such models as the 3 Series, 5 Series and even the 7 Series were produced for the internal market of the country. At first, the sales in South Africa were quite sluggish, so towards the end of 1980s BMW decided to increase these numbers by a method which works almost everywhere: racing. It was put up to compete with quite the cars, one of them will be the next one in the video. Furthermore, the local racing rules prohibited the car from using the high-revving i4 they've already had for their M3 of the 30th generation. With their luck, the warehouses in one of their factories in Roslyn were filled to the brim with parts which would perfectly fit the project. The engine was tied to a 5-speed manual and many parts were sourced from the Alpina B6. However, there was a small problem. Due to the M3 being a rather small car, the powertrain barely fit in it, so the customers had an option to choose between power steering or an air conditioner unit. And well, another problem arose. The car was made for Group 1 racing, however, it was cancelled in practically the same year the car made production. However, fortunately, the project was not halted and BMW South Africa released 204 of these. The power plant offered 197 horsepower at 5000 RPM, 7.4 seconds 0 to 100, as well as a top speed of 230 km per hour. It is truly a shame that this car did not make it into a full-on production run, because it would have been a large hit in any country it would have been offered in. The next car was made for Group 1 racing as well. Ford offered many special editions of its cars, take the Sierra XR2 for example. However, this was more far-blown and larger scale than the XR2. This is the XR8. Indeed, Ford has fit a 5-liter Windsor high-output V8 from the Fox body into the compact body of a Sierra, specifically the 5-door hatch body. It could even pass as a normal Sierra, but the aggressive-looking cooling slats on the hood and the special wing easily gave it away. The gearbox was a 5-speed manual from a Mustang as well. The car had 215 horsepower. This track monster had an acceleration time of roughly 6.9 seconds. Remember, this was 1984. Entry-level Ferraris had 240 horsepower. The XR8 also only weighed 1,269 kilograms, and with tweaks to the cooling, suspension and brakes, it had excellent handling. So, well, it handled better than most muscle cars of that age and class. The car had competed with such behemoths as the Alfa Romeo GT-V6 and the R31 Skyline. A total of 252 units were built, and today they can cost up to 23,000 euros or 32,000 euros. Those prices are surprising considering the rareness of that car. Alfa Romeo had South African factories as well. The sharp, Giugiaro-styled Alfetta GT was produced at a plant in Roslin. When they entered racing with it, they knew that they would be put up with some serious competition like the BMW 535i. So Alfa Romeo had made a larger variant of their V6 engine, extending it to a size of 3 liters. It was, in fact, the fastest performance vehicle Alfa Romeo had ever built at the time. The Busso achieved 183 horsepower and it reached 100 km per hour in 8.3 seconds. And of course, it sounded absolutely spectacular. Such performance allowed the car to easily dominate tracks in the country, taking podiums quite many times. It also won the 1000 km World Endurance Championship, which is quite surprising since Alfa Romeo is not generally known for its reliability. It looked quite more aggressive outside as well, featuring such elements as a fiberglass hood with a power bulge. As for the price, well, since only 212 units rolled off the conveyor, it goes for sale for up to 51,000 euros. Quite a reasonable price for a classic with such history actually. Yes, the 745i existed in Europe, but the South African version was a totally different beast. Instead of the conventional engine used in European models, it used one lifted straight from the M635 or the M5, developing 280 brake horsepower. It was done because the right-hand drive model couldn't have its turbocharger, because it was in the left-hand side of the engine bay. Some early cars came with M logos on the speedometer and rev counter, but these were quickly removed from production. A production run of 192 South African 745i's was made. There were 175 of them with quite the woeful automatic gearbox and 17 with a 5-speed manual. BMW once entered one of these in the South African Modified Saloon Championship, and it won it. It was the only application of a 7 Series in motorsports by BMW officially, and well, it was obviously quite peculiar to see such a luxury on a racetrack. Well, since this was a real motorsports oriented 7 Series, it's the closest we ever got to a BMW M7.